Native American history is filled with inspiring leaders, warriors, and visionaries who defended their people, upheld traditions, and resisted colonization. In this video, we'll review some of the most revered Native American heroes across various tribes. From Sitting Bull to Pontiac, stay with us as we touch on these indelible figures and their impact to the native indigenous American culture. Let's get started. Sitting Bull, Hunkpapa Lakota. Sitting Bull was a prominent Hunkpapa Lakota leader and a respected holy man who played a pivotal role in Native American resistance against U.S. government policies in the 19th century. Born near the Grand River in present-day South Dakota, he was originally named Jumping Badger, but later earned the name Tatanka Iotake, which translates to Sitting Bull. Sitting Bull is perhaps best known for his role in the Battle of the Little Bighorn on June 25, 1876. In the months leading up to the battle, he had a vision during a Sundance ceremony of a great victory over U.S. forces. This vision inspired a coalition of Lakota, Northern Cheyenne, and Arapaho warriors who defeated Lieutenant Colonel George Armstrong Custer and his 7th Cavalry Regiment. The battle became one of the most significant Native American victories during the Plains Wars. Sitting Bull is remembered as a symbol of Native American resistance and a defender of his people's autonomy and traditions. His life and leadership continue to inspire discussions about Indigenous rights, cultural preservation, and the complex history of the United States' westward expansion. Geronimo, Apache. Geronimo was a prominent leader and medicine man from the Bedonkohe band of the Chiricahua Apache tribe. Born in what is now Arizona, he became one of the most renowned Native American figures due to his resistance against Mexico and the United States during the latter half of the 19th century. In 1858, a tragic event profoundly impacted Geronimo's life. While he was away, Mexican soldiers attacked his camp, killing his mother, wife, and 3 children. This personal loss fueled his animosity toward Mexican forces and motivated his lifelong commitment to defending his people. Geronimo became a key leader in Apache resistance efforts. He conducted numerous raids and defensive actions against Mexican and later American forces who were encroaching on Apache lands. His deep knowledge of the terrain and guerrilla tactics allowed him to elude capture for many years, despite being pursued by thousands of soldiers. In 1886, Geronimo surrendered to U.S. General Nelson A. Miles after a prolonged pursuit. This marked the end of the major Native American wars in the Southwest. Geronimo and a group of his followers were sent to various prisons in Florida, Alabama, and eventually Fort Sill in Oklahoma. Despite promises, they were not allowed to return to their homeland. Geronimo's name has become synonymous with bravery and resistance. He is remembered as a symbol of Native American struggle and resilience against colonization and displacement. Crazy Horse, Oglala Lakota. Crazy Horse, his name in Lakota, Tasunke Witko, meaning his horse is crazy, was a prominent Oglala Lakota leader, born around 1840 in the Black Hills of present-day South Dakota. Renowned for his courage, tactical skill, and dedication to preserving the Lakota way of life, he played a pivotal role in Native American resistance against U.S. government encroachment during the 19th century. From a young age, Crazy Horse was involved in conflicts with rival tribes and later against U.S. forces. He emerged as a key leader during the Plains Wars, a series of conflicts driven by westward expansion and the U.S. government's attempts to confine Native Americans to reservations. Perhaps the most famous episode involving Crazy Horse was the Battle of the Little Bighorn on June 25th to 26th, 1876. Alongside leaders like Sitting Bull and Chief Gall, he helped orchestrate the defeat of Lieutenant Colonel George Armstrong Custer and the 7th Cavalry Regiment. Facing relentless military pursuit and dwindling resources, Crazy Horse surrendered at Fort Robinson, Nebraska on May 6, 1877. On September 5, 1877, during a scuffle, while allegedly resisting confinement, he was fatally wounded by a bayonet wielded by a U.S. soldier. The exact circumstances of his death remain debated, but it marked the end of significant organized resistance by the Lakota. Today, Crazy Horse is celebrated not only among the Lakota, but also globally as an icon of resistance and leadership. Chief Joseph, Nez Perce. Chief Joseph, his indigenous name, Hinmatu Yalatkit, meaning thunder rolling down the mountain, was born on March 3, 1840, in the Wallowa Valley of present-day northeastern Oregon. He was a prominent leader of the Wallowa band of the Nez Perce tribe and is renowned for his role during the Nez Perce War of 1877. Chief Joseph became an enduring symbol of Native American resistance and humanitarian principles. After his father's death in 1871, Joseph assumed leadership of the Wallowa band. His father had been a staunch opponent of treaties that would force the Nez Perce off their ancestral lands. Continuing his father's legacy, Chief Joseph refused to sign the Treaty of 1863, which the U.S. government used to justify seizing millions of acres of Nez Perce territory. The tipping point came when a group of young Nez Perce warriors, reacting to injustices and the murder of a tribal member, attacked nearby settlements. Recognizing the futility of open war against the U.S. Army, Chief Joseph and other leaders like Looking Glass and Whitebird decided to flee in an attempt to reach Canada. Over 4 months, Chief Joseph led approximately 800 men, women, and children on a 1,170-mile journey through Oregon, Idaho, Wyoming, and Montana. The Nez Perce engaged in numerous skirmishes and battles with pursuing U.S. forces, often outmaneuvering them despite being outnumbered. Just 40 miles from the Canadian border, the Nez Perce were cornered in the Bear Paw Mountains of Montana. On October 5, 1877, facing exhaustion, starvation, and cold, Chief Joseph surrendered to General Oliver O. Howard. He is attributed with the poignant words, "Hear me, my chiefs, my heart is sick and sad. From where the sun now stands, I will fight no more forever." This speech has become emblematic of the Native American struggle and dignity in the face of adversity. Tecumseh, Shawnee. Tecumseh was born around 1768 near present-day Chillicothe, Ohio. His name, Tecumseh or Tecumseh, translates to shooting star or panther across the sky in the Shawnee language. He was a prominent Shawnee chief and a visionary leader who sought to unite Native American tribes in the early 19th century. Born in the Ohio country, present-day Ohio, he became a central figure in Native American resistance against U.S. expansion into indigenous territories. Tecumseh's efforts to establish a confederation of tribes made him one of the most significant Native American leaders in North American history. Tecumseh became known for his bravery and oratory skills. He participated in various battles against American settlers and soldiers, gaining respect among both allies and adversaries. Witnessing the continuous loss of Native American lands through treaties and warfare, Tecumseh advocated for a united front of tribes. He believed that only through unity could indigenous peoples resist U.S. encroachment. Starting around 1808, Tecumseh traveled extensively across the Midwest and the South, visiting tribes such as the Wyandot, Seneca, Ojibwe, Creek, and Choctaw. His goal was to form a confederation that transcended traditional tribal rivalries. Alongside his brother Tenskwatawa, who experienced a spiritual awakening and became a religious leader, Tecumseh established Prophetstown near the Tippecanoe River in present-day Indiana. The settlement became a center for the Confederacy's political and spiritual movement. Tecumseh promoted the idea that land cessions to the U.S. government were invalid unless agreed upon by all tribes collectively. He rejected the notion that individual chiefs or tribes could sell land that was held in common. Governor William Henry Harrison, the future U.S. president and then governor of the Indiana Territory, viewed Tecumseh's confederacy as a significant threat. He negotiated the purchase of millions of acres from tribes that were not part of Tecumseh's confederacy. Tecumseh vehemently opposed the treaty, arguing it was illegitimate. In 1811, while Tecumseh was in the South seeking allies, Harrison marched forces toward Prophetstown. The ensuing Battle of Tippecanoe resulted in the destruction of the settlement, weakening the Confederacy. With the outbreak of the War of 1812 between the United States and Britain, Tecumseh allied with the British in Canada, seeing an opportunity to strengthen his cause. He played a crucial role in several key battles, including the Siege of Detroit, where his presence and tactics contributed to the surrender of American forces. He died in battle on October 5, 1813, dealing a significant blow to the Native American resistance movement. Red Cloud, Oglala Lakota. Red Cloud, his Lakota name, Mapia Luta, meaning Red Cloud, was a prominent Oglala Lakota leader born in 1822 near the Platte River in present-day Nebraska. He is best known for his role in Red Cloud's War, 1866 to 1868, making him one of the most significant Native American leaders who successfully resisted United States expansion into their territories during the 19th century. The war was sparked by the U.S. government's efforts to build the Bozeman Trail, a route connecting the Oregon Trail to the goldfields of Montana. This trail cut through the Powder River country, which was sacred hunting ground for the Lakota and other tribes. Red Cloud united various Lakota bands, along with the Northern Cheyenne and Arapaho tribes, to oppose the construction of forts along the trail. He orchestrated a series of successful attacks against U.S. forces. In 1866, Fetterman's Fight, also known as the Battle of the Hundred in the Hands, was where Red Cloud's forces ambushed and killed all 81 soldiers under Captain William J. Fetterman, the worst military defeat for the U.S. on the Great Plains up to that time. The war concluded with the Treaty of Fort Laramie, 1868, in which the U.S. government agreed to abandon the forts and cease efforts to build the Bozeman Trail. This treaty recognized the Black Hills as part of the Great Sioux Reservation and was a significant victory for Red Cloud and his allies. After the war, Red Cloud visited Washington, D.C. to negotiate and advocate for his people's rights. He met with President Ulysses S. Grant and other officials to discuss treaty obligations. Despite the treaty, the discovery of gold in the Black Hills in the 1870s led to increased U.S. encroachment, violating the treaty terms. Red Cloud eventually settled on the Pine Ridge Reservation in South Dakota. Pontiac, Odawa. Pontiac was a prominent Ottawa war chief known for leading a unified Native American resistance against British military occupation in the Great Lakes region following the French and Indian War. His efforts culminated in what is historically referred to as Pontiac's War or Pontiac's Rebellion, 1763 to 1766, marking a significant moment in the struggle between Native Americans and European colonial powers. By the 1750s, Pontiac had risen to become a respected war chief among the Odawa. His leadership was recognized not only within his own tribe, but also among neighboring tribes due to his diplomatic skills and military acumen. During the French and Indian War, 1754 to 1763, Pontiac allied with the French against the British. The French generally maintained more cooperative relationships with Native Americans, engaging in trade and mutual defense. Following the British victory in the conflict, British policies under General Jeffrey Amherst strained relations with Native Americans. The British discontinued the practice of gift-giving, restricted trade of essential goods like firearms and ammunition, and encroached upon indigenous lands. Recognizing the threat to their way of life, Pontiac organized a confederation of tribes, including the Odawa, Ojibwa, Potawatomi, Huron, and others, to resist British policies and protect their territories. In May 1763, Pontiac led an attempt to capture Fort Detroit by surprise. When the plan was revealed, he initiated a siege that lasted several months. The siege marked the beginning of widespread attacks on British forts and settlements throughout the region. The conflict saw brutal fighting on both sides, with significant casualties and atrocities committed. The British military eventually adapted their strategies, reopening trade and engaging in negotiations to quell the uprising. They also resorted to measures such as distributing smallpox-infected blankets to Native Americans, aiming to spread disease, a tactic documented in correspondence but debated among historians regarding its execution and impact. By 1764, the Confederacy began to disintegrate as some tribes made peace with the British. In 1766, Pontiac met with British Superintendent of Indian Affairs, Sir William Johnson, and formally ended hostilities. After the war, Pontiac's influence diminished among the tribes. Some native leaders resented his prominence, and the British sought to undermine his authority. On April 20th, 1769, Pontiac was assassinated by a Peoria warrior in Cahokia, near present-day St. Louis, Illinois. These heroes are remembered for their commitment to justice, dignity, and the protection of their communities, culture, and lands. They embody the enduring spirit of Native American resilience and leadership.
And if you think this video was amazing, wait until you see the next one, right here on Ancient Memoria.